What have you seen from the guys now that they're back out on the field so far?
I think we're, had really good energy today. Obviously want to make it fun this time of the year for them, kind of like we talked about, going into it. So I think they're excited to play, and we're ready to go up there, have a good time. But then we want to play our best game and finish this season off too. So I thought we're definitely getting there. Got some stuff we got to get cleaned up. But just good to be out there on the grass with them running around having a good time.
I know different from last year. I mean, you guys were done last year. It was pretty quick bowl turnaround after the regular season. How good though was maybe to have the guys get away from it for a little bit and then come back kind of refreshed and re-energized?
Yeah, I think just if nothing else, the physical part. Just a long season. All the way through a conference championship. It was a tough physical year, and so and we didn't have as much depth maybe at some spots. So I think from that aspect that was huge, and then obviously mentally just to be able to recharge a little bit and finish up school hopefully strong, and then be able to enjoy us getting to go on a little trip for a good bowl game. Most of our guys never been to Boston. I've never been to Boston, so it'll be a cool experience for us, and so I think they're excited about it.
When you're scouting these bowl games, typically you're not scouting a team that you have on the schedule the next year, but that's the case with Boston College. Have you guys kind of taken this opportunity to maybe look even closer just because you know that you'll have them again next year, or is it just kind of focusing on this year's team and winning this one game?
No, we recruited for 2 weeks and then came back and got ready, started getting ready for this bowl. So I'd love to say we'd had all that time to sit and watch film, but currently this recruiting calendar, I don't think it makes much sense for us. I don't think it's fair to the coaches. I don't think it's fair to the players personally, but it is what it is, and we have this calendar, and so we're gonna make the best of the calendar that we do have, and so there's not a lot of time for anything other than addressing our roster needs for next year to make sure that we put our team in the best chance to be successful here a year from now.
What does it mean to get Elijah Roberts and Jonathan McGill both back in the fold for you next year, and how did that process kind of play out behind the scenes, if you can?
Yeah, I think, and Brandon Crossley too.
Crossley too,
Obviously we knew Crossley's situation with wanting a red shirt, and he and I discussed that pretty early on during the year, kind of when he was going through his injury stuff. So we were trying to do everything we could to give him that extra year to be able to come back. But no, I think it's huge. Jonathan, obviously, as a captain, as a leader, as a really good football player on our defense, and Elijah. And I think both of them, like anything, we're going to advise them on what's best for them. That's our job and our role as coaches. So when NFL draft grades and everything come back and they look at that and they see the value of, playing another year, having high level production, potentially, at a Power 5 level, and that's kind of what they're advised to do. We're going to support whatever they decide, but ultimately when you have really good team chemistry and a lot of guys coming back, I think those guys were pretty excited to play another year with the brothers.
I know Coach Lashley last year talked about it, and this year's talked about it some, that this bowl game won't define the success of this season. It's kind of a weird thing where your team isn't necessarily what it looked like during the season, isn't necessarily what it will look like next season. But how important to you and some of these guys is getting a bowl win, getting that 12th win of the season, and like you said, finishing off strong?
Yeah, I mean, when was the last time we won 12 games here? Is that ever?
30 something, I think.
Yeah. Right? So it's been forever, right? So I think, us getting to 12 wins is a big deal. I think us finishing the season off the momentum, moving forward is a big deal. I think us sending our seniors out the right way is a big deal. So, I expect our guys to compete and put their best foot forward, and I think, I hope by the time we get to kickoff time, our guys pour everything into this, and I think they will. We have that type of leadership and culture right now where I feel like our guys are going to go out there and play for each other because they love playing for each other, and so it's a big deal to me. It's a big deal to our guys, and we want to finish it the right way.
Looking back on that AAC championship, we haven't gotten to talk to you since then. Can you put into words what you saw from your group, especially up front?
I thought we dominated every phase of the game. I thought it was a accumulation of what we felt like we had done at times during the season, but maybe in some of those bigger games hadn't played as well against the Memphises, You know, and a couple teams, even Rice at times in those games that were a little bit better on offense. And I thought, you know, against the best offense, the moment was without a doubt not too big. I felt very confident all week going into it that our guys were going to dominate them. I didn't say it. It was kind of just a quiet confidence. You just felt the leadership. We'd come this far and, you know, felt like, you know, Elijah, you know, some of these older guys, we were going to be able to rally around from what happened last year. And you credit to them. I mean, the way the game started, and nobody batted an eye. I mean, it couldn't have started any worse after how we played there last year. You know, second play of the game being a touchdown off the fumble there, and our guys were cool and calm and composed. And hey, we're fine. And they just came out and kept playing. And I think once we got it to 7-7, everybody kind of was okay. We're good. We're about to dominate this game. I thought up front, you know, I thought we just physically imposed our will on them in every way, really. I thought up front we were dominant. I thought our backers played well. I thought our safeties were physical. I thought we tackled well. I thought our corners, you know, -1 play, covered at an extremely high level. So I thought it was our best performance when the moment, you know, really mattered. So just couldn't have been more happy. I don't know if I've ever had that much joy in coaching for a group of guys, just because where we started and where we're at, you know, and to get to where we finished and be in a game and Kevin played great. I mean, we knew Kevin was going to make plays. I think everybody knows that. But for us to play that dominant, where Kevin, I think, could relax a little bit too as the game went on, you know, I thought it was huge. You know, like our guys never really let him get into the game after that first, you know, the one play where we fell asleep, which was offsides, but, you know, false start. But I mean, the whole right side of their line moved. Everybody in the stadium saw it. But it is what it is, and we have to finish the play. That was literally, you know, they had one play pretty much the whole game, and then even the way to finish, you know, on that last drive for us to be able to finish it off, and you know, it was taking time, and coach to trust me, and ask me, hey, how do you want to control this clock here? He said, I can run it 3 straight times. Might not get it first, but we can run about 2 minutes off the clock. And I said, run it 3 straight times. You know, we'll be good enough to keep him out. And just so proud of how our guys played the whole game, and excited for the trajectory and momentum of our program moving forward.
And going off that, you can't talk about them yet, but you guys have addressed the defensive line in the portal. Did you, from what you saw this year, did it just show why that is just such an extra emphasis to make sure you guys are continuing to restock? I know it is every year, but it's that concerted effort.
Well, I mean, you've got big needs, obviously, with Jordan and Elijah graduating, you know, and DeVeers. You have 3 seniors there that have played a good amount of snaps. So obviously, you know, the need there, and then you know, still some other needs that we'll look to continue to address. You know, here throughout, you know, the next week or so, next couple weeks, and then possibly into the spring, you know, as we evaluate our roster. But you know, it's hard. We're trying to do a good job of bringing the right young men in our program that can help us from athletic ability, but we also want, you know, first and foremost fit and culture, you know, and that's something that, you know, I think our guys have done a phenomenal job building here. So trying to make sure we get the right guys here for our program. So.
With the championship game, was there any extra conversation on the defense of saying, hey, we've got a quarterback making his first career start, let's do more to help him out? Or was it just do what you guys have been doing and that'll be enough? And then does that kind of carry over into now Kevin's second career start with the bowl game?
Well, I think they definitely had that mentality of, hey, you know, we got Kevin's back on this. But I also think you got to give credit to Kevin, because one thing about Kevin is his confidence is not going to be shaken. We've seen that in practice out here. So Kevin, I mean, you know, this is a young man that obviously won a state championship. That was a huge deal. So, you know, I don't think anybody felt like the moment was going to be too big for Kevin Jennings. And I think he went out there and he was just Kevin and just made plays. And so many of those plays in the game, watching it from the press box, where things were broken and Kevin made a great play with his feet, or a great play to then find somebody late. And so, but yes, I mean, our guys had that mentality for sure, but I think they also had a lot of trust and confidence in Kevin.
What do you see from Boston College?
Big physical, with obviously, you know, an extremely athletic quarterback that we saw at the end of the UCF game last year. Yeah, he can really run. Their O-line is big. You know, they maul people up front, and they've got some good skills. So I mean, it's definitely not going to be an easy task for us to go up there in their, you know, basically a home game for them, and be able to try to keep this thing close. You know, because they're a good, really solid football team.
Do you have a comp from the season that, you know, one of the teams that you guys have played that BC maybe looks the most like, or not really?
No, they're more like a Big Ten football team with with their size and how they run the ball. I don't know. I don't know if we've had a good comparison to them, just because they're so big up front and they're so athletic at quarterback. You know, watching him reminds me of Derek running the ball back in the day. So if you guys remember those days here, because you know, we've faced some guys like the quarterback at Charlotte that was straight line, but his lateral quicks are exceptional. So. You know, anytime you have a quarterback that can run like that and you've got a big, strong, physical, athletic O-line, then that's going to pose issues for you.
Is that fun as a defensive coordinator to, in game, you know, 13 of the season, to have a different challenge and kind of scheme it up and get these guys ready for something that they really haven't seen during the year?
Well, I think from a run game standpoint, they've seen it. You know, I mean, we're 13 games in. I don't know if there's too many run plays at this point that we haven't seen. So I don't know if it's, I don't know if you say it's something that we hadn't seen. It's just, you know, it's a different level of guy with the ball in his hands. And is it fun? I think any DC would tell you they'd rather, you know, face a statue than a guy that can run, because, you know, Kevin proved that. There were plenty of times where, you know, they were in a decent call and they might have had us hemmed up, but Kevin Jennings made a play with his feet and, you know, created a first down for us. So, no, I'd rather see a guy that, you know, runs like I do right now than him. So